All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something that makes the entire internet work, from your phone to your laptop, all the way to, well, your smart toilet. Yep, we're talking about IP addresses.
I love this quote because it's just so true. Let's start with this idea that these simple strings of numbers are the invisible magic powering every single click, every stream, and every search you make.
Okay, so what is this magic officially? Well, an IP address is a unique numerical label that has a two-part job. First, it's the ID for your specific device. And second, it's the location, so data knows exactly where to find it on the network.
But honestly, you can just forget all that technical stuff for a minute. The absolute easiest way to think about an IP address is simply this. It's your device's home address in the huge digital world of the internet.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the magic number itself, break down the anatomy of an address, look at the public versus private worlds, follow your data's journey, and finally, figure out how to find and protect your own IP. Let's get into it.
So first things first, why do we even need these things? Well, it's pretty simple actually. Just think about phone numbers. We need them to call each other, right? IP addresses do the exact same thing, but for our devices. They let them find and talk to one another.
I mean, seriously, that device you're holding right now, the one you're watching this on, it couldn't connect to the internet at all without an IP address. It's literally your ticket to get online. All right, so what's super interesting is how this digital address is actually put together. It's not just a bunch of random numbers, there's a really clever system behind it. Okay, so an IP address, it doesn't fly solo. It's got two best friends that help it do its job. The Subnet Mask, and we'll get to that in a sec, and the default gateway. And default gateway is just a fancy tech term for your router. So the address itself, it's always split into two really important parts. One part identifies the entire network you're on. You can think of that as your whole neighborhood. And the other part, that points to your specific device in that neighborhood. But wait, how does your computer know where the neighborhood part ends and the house part begins? Well, that's where its best friend, the Subnet Mask, comes in. The Subnet Mask is basically the rulebook that draws that line in the sand. And this brings us to a really cool, simple trick to understand all this. It's the 255 hack. Basically, wherever you see a 255 in that Subnet Mask, it means the matching number in the IP address is totally locked in. It's not going to change for any device on your home network. So, for pretty much any home network out there, your Subnet Mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. What does that mean? It means those first three numbers of your IP address, in this case 192.168.1, they're locked. That's your network. So here's where it all clicks together. That locked part, the network portion, that's your street name, like Private Drive. And that last part, the host portion that can change, that's your unique house number, like number 4. See? Every device on your network lives on the same street, but each one has its own house number.
Okay, so now that we get the street and house number idea, let's see how this whole system creates two totally separate worlds for IP addresses. The private world, inside your home, and the public one that everyone else sees on the internet.
So inside your house, right, all your devices, your phone, your laptop, your TV, they're all using private IPs to chat with each other. And these aren't unique out in the world. Your laptop could have the exact same private IP as your neighbor's. But the second any of those devices want to go out to the internet, your router acts like a gatekeeper. It hands them all a single, globally unique public IP address to share. That's your one address to the outside world.
But, there's a problem. The original system, which is called IPv4, was only built to handle about 4.3 billion addresses. Now that sounds like a lot, but with literally billions of people and devices now online, yeah, we've pretty much run out of space. And that's why we created IPv6. It uses a new system that gives us, a mind-bogglingly huge number of addresses. I mean, it's a number so big, we'll probably never run out again. Now, you might be wondering why we don't just switch over completely. Well, the global transition is slow and expensive, so for now, both systems are running side by side. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. Let's look at how your computer actually decides whether to send your data on a quick trip down the street or on a round-the-world journey. Your computer is actually really smart about this. It looks at the destination address and asks itself a simple question. Is this on my street? If you're trying to send a document to your printer, which is on the same street, it just delivers the data directly. Easy. But if you're trying to watch Netflix, well, Netflix lives on a totally different street, way across town.
Your computer knows it can't get there on its own, so it hands the data package over to your router, the default gateway, and says, hey, can you send this out into the big wide world for me?
All right, so understanding all this is great. It's fascinating stuff. But in today's world, knowing how to protect your IP address, that's absolutely crucial.
So what exactly are we talking about here? What are the risks? Well, since your public IP is your one-of-a-kind address on the internet, it can unfortunately become a target for some shady characters online. You've got things like IP spoofing, where a hacker basically fakes your address to sneak into secure places. Then there are DDoS attacks, which is just a fancy way of saying they flood your IP with so much traffic that it completely crashes your connection. And yeah, they can even try to snoop on your data as it's traveling from one place to another.
But here's the good news. You're not defenseless. There are some really powerful tools you can use to protect your digital address. A VPN, or a virtual private network, is probably the most common one. It basically hides your real IP by routing your traffic through a different server. You could also use things like proxy servers or the Tor browser if you want maximum anonymity. And honestly, just making sure your device's firewall is turned on is a great first step to block a lot of suspicious traffic.
So, here's what I want you to take away from all this. Your IP address, it's so much more than just a string of numbers. It's your digital passport. It's what represents you on the global stage of the internet. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. Now that you know what it is, do you know where your digital passport is traveling today?